Well, let's get this thing going. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the, I forgot my reading glasses. The November 16th meeting of the Board of Education. I'm Gary Itzen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 6:01. Begin by taking roll. Mr. Calderon. Present. Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Ms. Appleton.
Here.
Ms. Jones.
Here.
And I'm present. I've asked Ms. Appleton if she would open the meeting with a prayer, and Mr. O'Brien, if he'd lead us in the pledge. Please join us if you'd like.
Father, we come to you just thanking you for who you are and just praising you as our God and Savior. I just pray that you will be with the Rodriguez family. I pray their precious. And I also pray that you will be with Todd Bailey's family, all those who love him. Give them comfort, help them to know that you are there to be with them. Be with those who are sick with COVID or other illnesses, Lord. We just pray that you will bring them back 100% of that work. Give you the glory for that. I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I thank you for all these who work so hard to make our school district the district that it is. I just pray that you will watch out for them, especially next week, have the week off. Just keep our kids safe, with our parents, as they get to enjoy this time with their families. Bring them back. And be with our staff, especially renew them, help them to come back and be ready to finish out this semester. We just pray that you will be with all those who are here tonight and watch out for them in all that they do. These things we ask them.
Join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's at this time in the meeting that we recognize those of you in the audience who would like to say something to the board. Is there anybody here to? Doesn't appear to. Is there any board members have anything to say?
Yes, thank you to those 152 friends of mine who voted for me in the election. I realized there were 153, but I didn't thank myself. I am not narcissistic. But I do appreciate all those who came out and voted for me and for Miss Jones.
Yes, I appreciate
We are
the
just so
support.
excited to be here back on the board,
Yes.
ready for 4 more years. Go, go, go. So,
The opportunity, you know what I mean, to continue to be on the Board of Education. And I told them I had just, and someone even asked me again, well, you know, I said, as long as I feel like I'm going to be a part of making things happen for the Hobbs Municipal Schools and our students, I will be, you know, I almost feel as excited right now as I was the very first day that I started doing it. And I think, I don't know if that's something good or something bad. And I said, well, 9 years old Sunday.
Yep.
Yes, and so, you know what I mean, thank God that I'm here and alive and well and feeling real good and hopefully, you know what I mean, can continue. But we have so many exciting things going on with our schools and the things that we intend to do that I look very much a part of being a part of it. And I think Mr. Calderon and Mr. O'Brien and Ms. Appleton and Gary, as we said, and Jean and Terry and Carrie, I want to call you somebody else. I don't know why. And David, you look like another friend of mine. So I almost have to look at your name tag every once in a while and then go to the administrative staff that's over here. Like I say, you know what I mean, for all the help and encouragement. But I look forward to serving and continuing to serve.
Anybody else? Well, I would like to congratulate you two ladies on your successful bid to be reelected. I thank you for continuing to serve and make this a team, that's for sure. I'd also like to wish you a happy birthday again, you know. Thank you. And Miss Appleton, I believe you have one tomorrow, don't you?
Tomorrow.
All right.
And don't be thinking I'm as old as Miss Jones.
Hey,
Oh, no.
all I can say is I hope you live to be as old as me. You know, we'll put it that way. You know, I already had one person with my name die this year, so
I
I'm
know.
really glad. And I still got some people texting my daughter and saying that, giving us sympathy. Oh, I said, Lord, have mercy. Oh, yeah. You know how Facebook is, it's there, but it can be delayed. And so, you know, we have people that know us and this, that, and other, so sitting there, we're sorry to hear about your mom. And I said, okay, I hadn't gone anywhere yet, but
Well, we're glad you're okay.
yes, I am.
And even though I'm not 69, I'm just 1 year behind.
Well, we have some cake here tonight. for you.
Yes, we do.
And we hope that all of you will stay here and join us in the birthday celebration. I want to get through the approval of the agenda and the minutes. We'll get that out of the way and then we'll have some cake. How's that sound? Okay.
Great.
Regarding the agenda for tonight's meeting, is there any changes or revision? And I would entertain a motion for tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Regarding the minutes, regular meeting of the Board of Education for October 19th, are there any revisions to that?
I see they've already been revised.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I make a motion.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the minutes for that meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's have some cake.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone want to join us in singing happy birthday to him? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Appleton, Miss Jones. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Both the cake and sugar free. Like me to bring you?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll have that.
Just if you want it.
Got plenty for everybody, so come join.
Hot dog.
Oh, the correct.
He told me it was sugar. Yes, he told me it was sugar free, but that don't mean anything. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
He's a position of work, but he said so.
How are you doing?
Yeah, it's just like yours is going that way for some reason. I don't know how to change it to up and down.
Technician over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that young man at the end there.
Mr. Mackey.
I bought my present. I just need to wrap it. There you go. I need to make my birthday cake and decide what I want or something.
And I voted for you. I wanted the 100, yeah.
152 close friends. I didn't know I had.
I'm one of them, I propose.
Oh, okay, that's good.
We couldn't let y'all's birthdays go by this close together.
No, yeah.
I know. We're both vicious Scorpios, aren't we?
Yes. Four of them. when y'all start letting people like Sam Cobb come into the building, y'all, we need a- I don't know, that's what I was just gonna say, I don't know why we just let people just.
He's here with CTEC.
Yes.
The gentleman next to him is Ray Carraway.
First morning.
He's a replaced Bob Reed.
We had four down.
You know, this young man is right here with the glasses on, he said, he was one of the very first.
I've been using that same spot the last 4 years.
What is the program that we have with the kids and they excel every time they go to Washington and everything, they,
Skills
No,
USA.
it's-
skills, that's the skills.
Yep.
And I don't know if he works for us.
He does. Yep. He's one of our construction teachers.
And I just love him to death, but he was such a, I don't know, coming up, and you know, I could not see him not being involved in the program.
Mhm.
They were doing something when he was actually one of the servers one time at something here. And he grew us a good one.
Yes, he did.
We brought him up.
Yep.
Taught him right.
Everybody's I hunt with every year on this hunt. Been going for the last 15 years. They're from Houston area.
I had a friend who, kind of in Colorado, and they just take horses up. So anyway,
Oh, that's the funnest hunt. That's
When I get back
what
to
got my
Vegas,
son
I'm it's back.
hooked on hunting. Was he went on horseback.
Jerry went shopping.
Okay. Who had me to the free?
She had to make it at home.
oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She bought a cake mix and bought the icing.
Miss Parks always made.
Okay.
All
right.
Cause I, you know, their daughter, I bet, and I was always, she makes a banana bread and another bread that I'm telling you, she could tell that he wasn't a
You couldn't.
different cook.
Yep. Yeah, they're so good at that nowadays. You can't tell. I mean, I wouldn't know unless she told me on this one. Icing as well.
Yeah, they've got all sorts of things that they do now.
And his mom for a long time was gluten free.
Sure, yes, it was.
Yep.
I think Lorna White and with the out school.
She is.
And I mean, she would get sick.
Yep. We were at law conference one year. I guess when I first met her, we were at law conference and that's when she was a gluten free menu. Andy, you didn't want any cake? You don't want any cake? It goes really good on the keyboard.
I'm not big into sweets.
You what?
I'm not big into sweets.
Oh. Well, I'll eat your piece for you.
I didn't see him singing, so I'm not sure he qualified.
Did you see anybody singing?
I saw masks.
Yeah.
Very true.
Sonia was singing.
She thinks she's in trouble. That's a good thing.
I said you were singing. Of course. For those of you who do not know, Sonia was one of my students, one of my prize students, one of my favorite students.
Teacher's pet students.
Close. I didn't have pets. I rose above that nonsense.
Oh.
But Sonia was a good one. Anybody else in here I had in class, I don't think so.
Mr. Easton, I was just saying to the superintendent, that the young man that's sitting on the third row was one of our first USA skills students, and he's just been with the system throughout, but you know, we homegrown some good ones.
That's right. Grow your own. That's what.
Grow your own.
Okay. Back to work.
Hey, the girls told me what happened with the band this weekend. The Rusty committing to Eunice and then Chow called. I told them they need to get some red and blue shirts. They'd be split down the middle.
That's right.
Yeah, they've been learning both fight songs.
That's what I told you. I said, do you think I can get both songs? Old superintendents. I hope we can get a copy.
Yeah. I think they've been practicing them already.
That's very
so,
nice. of them.
You can take this one, Gene.
Yeah,
You may take that.
Do they not have them?
I don't think so. If they do, they're really small.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This
We
guy.
we went through a lot.
This principal, on the other hand, I don't know.
One more. One more.
One a couple of years ago when they just did it for Eunice, when they've had the game in Eunice, it was really good. The kids love it.
I thought she was gonna say that.
I guess the guy from Eunice called. Rusty. Rusty, oh yeah, we'll see. I think we can do it. We'll see what's on our schedule. I guess the guy from Dow called Gene. And Gene, oh yeah, they could probably do it. You know. So, I think it was like 30 minutes of each other. So Rusty, oh, yeah, party coach Eunice New York. So
That's
and now I
cool.
guess they're gonna be neutral, I guess.
Yeah.
Play for both teams.
Well, yeah,
so.
they're in the county too. Enjoy their treats. We will get going again and begin with presentations. CTEC. Thank you.
Superintendent Strickland, Mr. President, members of the board. Very happy today to be able to do our first quarterly report, okay? And so what I want to do is be able to walk you through what the expectations of a quarterly report are, all right? What leads to that is our steering committee, okay? CTEC operates a little bit differently in that we are guided by advisory committees and guided by a steering committee. All right, that's what will help keep us relevant, help keep us fresh with the community and so forth. So real quick to introduce you, our steering committee, who makes up the steering committee for CTEC, is our capital partners, okay? Two of our capital partners are here today. All right, we have Mr. Ray Caraway from Maddox Foundation is here. All right, and Sam Cobb from the city of Hobbs is here.
Mayor Cobb.
Yes, Mayor Cobb from the city of Hobbs is here. Yes, sir. Not with us today is Molly Young and Tracy Bentley from PSP, so Permian Strategic Partnership. All right, as well as the chair of the EDC. What? It's not Trace Hicks. Oh,
David
my
Shaw.
goodness. David Shaw. Thank you. David Shaw from Norley. Okay, so those people will represent our steering committee as we go through, and today my report is to you on behalf of the steering committee. Okay, which means at any time, if you want to ask questions, you can ask questions, and you can also ask questions of the steering committee. So if they're really hard questions, please ask Mayor Cobb. What we'll go through is what's our current status on programming. So where are we at as far as the programming? Where are we at as far as staffing? What does our budget look like? The building going to be ready on time? How are we continuing to foster our partners? All right, and where are we at with students in recruitment? So those are the bullet points we want to hit today. All right, you're doing great, Terry. Our programming and courses. So at your desks there, you each have the programming guide, the course guide for CTEC. All right, it's pretty impressive, I think, for our first run at it. We will actually present this to the Hobbs High School Curriculum Kit Committee tomorrow, all right, seeking their approval, because remember, we have to weave our courses in with the courses that are offered at Hobbs High School, all right? But when we go out and we recruit students, we're gonna give them this course guide so that they can see everything that's attached to it. So if you look there, that first page tells you basically all the courses that are going to be offered at the Career Tech facility. If you'll scroll up one more, Terry. Keep going. All right. You'll see that there's pathways. For example, one pathway right there is our automotive pathway and our diesel pathway. And you'll see they're relatively simple pathways. All right. But it does guide students as far as the direction they're going. Scroll up a little more, Terry, right there. Perfect. One of the things that's going to be unique about this course guide compared to, say, the Hobbs High School course guide is it's going to explain what the course is, but more importantly, it's going to talk about what are the certifications that are attached to that course. So when students are looking at that, they typically would look at credits. Here, they're going to look at, oh, I can get a Snap-on certification in there. I can get ASE certification. I can get a certification through NC3. All right, scroll up one more. Other thing that they'll be able to see, for example, if they choose to take automotive class, is not just the certifications, but what classes do I need in order to take this class for the prerequisites, as well as is there any dual credit opportunity offered through those courses. So Wednesday, we present to the high school. Friday, I present this course book to the New Mexico Junior College. All right, and Friday, we will go through that process of deciding what all of these classes can be offered as dual credit opportunities. So this will continue to change as we continue to engage places with dual credit. Just earlier, I was talking to our hospitality teacher, and we're engaging New Mexico State, right, or Donna Ana? Donna Ana at New Mexico State for our culinary and hospitality classes to be able to get dual credit there as well. So we're hoping that we're offering great skills to high school that also turn into dual credit opportunities for our kids. The last page, let's see, scroll up, keep going. Let's see, keep going, one more. Stop right there. Okay. The one class that's going to be added for each and every pathway is actually an internship and an apprenticeship course. Okay, Terry, if you'll go back to the original slideshow, please. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Okay, so each of our courses will also have internships and apprenticeships applied to them. Just a refresher, an internship is short term, can be paid, doesn't have to be paid, but we'll also be reaching out to partnerships about apprenticeships, which are typically long range, lead to a job, can be paid. Efforts are being made through Workforce Connections. All right, Workforce Connections here in Hobbs actually has a program in place currently for apprenticeships. And so what we'll do is we'll hop on that model. And just to give you an example of how an apprenticeship works through Workforce Connections is, in order to entice businesses to be a part of an apprenticeship, Workforce Connections is able to pay half of the salary. All right, so if, let's say, a company in town decides that they want to take an apprentice, all right, and we're going to pay $40 an hour to that apprentice, which would be great. The company would pay $20. Workforce Connections would pay $20. So the company gets a great deal by having that person. All right, and how we get an advantage is Workforce Connections helps us monitor what the apprenticeship is supposed to look like, feel like. In other words, if we spend 2 years training somebody to go be a diesel tech, we don't want that diesel tech to go to a shop and just sweep the floor or clean the toilet. We want them working on an engine. All right, so they help that training process for the community about what does an apprenticeship actually look like. All right, so where's Christy Hughes? All right, Christy Hughes is our community schools liaison. She's been guiding us through this process and developing this relationship with Workforce Connections so that when we have students 2 years down the road who are ready to do an apprenticeship, we'll have a plan in place and we'll be ready to engage these community teams to do so. Next slide, Terry. Here's what I'm excited about today. All right, you see all the gray shirts. All right, that's our current staff. That's the staff that we have on board right now. These guys meet with me on Wednesdays for our CTE PLC meetings. They are the people who are responsible for putting this packet of courses together. That's the work they've been doing. They've been putting together equipment. They've been arranging their curriculum. They've been having conversations with universities as far as dual credit. They've been doing a lot of work. So overall status, big picture. All right, we currently have 15 instructors hired. Okay, and we have 4 non-instructors, so a counselor, community liaison, an assistant principal, and myself. So 19 staff members currently on board. as of yesterday, all right, we offered 4 positions, all right, who we're waiting to offer those positions to those folks. And if those 4 positions are accepted, all right, we will be down to 1 unfilled position at CTEC to start in August. All right, so we're very happy about the position we're in right now as far as staffing. All right. What that means is we change gears from acquiring people to training people. Now that you have your people on board, we have a very unique opportunity to take those next steps and develop them professionally. All right, we're going to have a great mix. If you look out here in this crowd, you'll see teachers that you recognize, and you'll see some folks from industry that you don't recognize. A great mix of people who've been in classrooms and people who have been in industry. They get this opportunity to support each other as they move forward as a staff. So we'll spend January, February, March taking advantage of every professional learning opportunity that we have to get ready for when we have students. Okay. Budget wins. All right, so where are we at money-wise? Some things have gone well for us. Construction, we are tracking exactly where we want to be tracking for budget. We expect to be right where we plan to be. The contractors and the bids came in a very timely manner to where we were able to procure most of our materials prior to some of the craziness that happened. And so we haven't faced a ton of real sharp increases in prices. There's not a lot of lumber in that facility, which means the lumber crunch really didn't get us as bad as it could have. So we feel very blessed to be in the position we're in as far as construction. Federal dollars. So this is an important one I want to talk about. Federal dollars, because of ESSER funds, Hobbs Schools is able to leverage any money that could be used for CTE. That's one of the things that's in ESSER funds. So we're going to be able to pay for all of the equipment that goes in that building, as well as any furniture that is specific to career tech. All right, we can't pay for office furniture out of ESSER funds, but we can pay for lab tables. We can pay for cabinets that are meant to hold shop stuff. All right, so what that means we're able to do is we're able to set aside $5 million. All right, that was going to be used for construction, and we're going to be able to create a fund moving forward for CTEC to make sure we can continue to support it in the future. So by being able to be creative with our funding, by being able to follow the rules that go with federal money, we're able to set some money aside. Okay, that fund is going to be, and Ray, you can help me out on this one. All right, but that's called an owner advised fund. All right, and that will come into play when we talk more about our partners. But basically, it's a fund that allows the owner to decide where that money is going to go. And if someone wants to donate to that fund, they could keep that money in a specific area. I'll give you an example. Urenco, okay? Urenco is a company that's very interested in partnering with us in HVAC. So they would be able to give money to this owner advised fund, but they would be able to dedicate it to supporting that HVAC program. If an oil company wanted to, they could dedicate it to that. That gives us some flexibility to be able to engage with more industry partners, but be able to make sure we can support some of those more expensive programs. I know I'm talking really fast. You got any questions so far? Okay. Construction updates. Remind you that we do have our construction cam on the website, so you can watch that all day long. All right. That picture, it's amazing. I posted this Wednesday of last week because that was the due date. It already looks much different. All right, just from Wednesday. You're going to start to see, next time we present, there's going to be steel up around the top. The steel was being delivered today, so you're going to start to see what's starting to look like a finished building. And there's already windows, the bit large garage doors. All right, the bay doors are coming in, so you should start to see those. We're really close to having an enclosed building over there. Timelines. Reminder that IT, our CAI building, all right, which is off to the right of it, all right, is going away. So spring break, we will move IT into the ground floor of the CTEC building. We'll actually be ready to do it earlier than that, but we're waiting to spring break because we have to turn off the school's network and then turn it back on and reconnect it. And we just thought it'd be a good idea to leave more than one weekend to get that done. Okay, so that's when we're gonna bring IT in. Furniture will start to be delivered around that same time. So you'll start to see the furnishings start to happen. In April, I'll start moving into the building. All right, so people who don't have offices right now will start to be able to move into the building and occupy the building. The equipment will start to be moved into the building, and we'll be able to start hooking up the equipment and being trained in the equipment in April, which gives our teachers April and May that opportunity to work with this new equipment, to practice with this curriculum as we start to get ready for the summer and the next year. Grand opening, May 5th. All right, I can't give you all the details. All right, but we know the date. So Cinco de Mayo, we plan on a pretty cool grand opening. The next picture. You don't get to see a lot of pictures from the inside on the camera. All right, there you can see what we do with our day. We give a lot of tours. Okay, there is a huge interest out there in people wanting to see the facility and do some of the same things we're doing. So right there, the picture on the left, Mr. Strickland is actually giving a tour of the EDC, all right, the Economic Development Community. And on the right, Mr. Gilbert Ramirez, who's here with us right now, he's actually touring New Mexico Oil and Gas Association around. And so he's telling them what his program is and what they're going to be able to offer and what they're going to be able to do in that program. But as you can see in the background, sheetrock is up, the top floors. If you actually go in there today, it's been textured and painted. Okay, so you've got texture and paint happening in there already. Downstairs in the bottom floors, the brick has been painted. So the last time you were in there, it was just your raw masonry. All right, now it's been textured and painted, and you actually see ceilings starting to go up in there. So making a lot of progress right there. So sorry, Terry, go back a little bit. I wanted to point out the ribbon on the top. That's actually the Hobbs Municipal Schools website, but CTEC now comes up as a school. All right, so Krista Hughes, all right, is doing a ton of the marketing for us. All right, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit because of staffing and the development we've had with success in staffing. There's a website, there's a Facebook, and there's an Instagram that says CTEC, okay? And I can tell you 6 months ago when I got new requests for friends on Facebook that I didn't know, I just deleted. I'm opening those now, and almost daily somebody is asking a question about the facility. All right, the last couple of job applicants we've got came from that Facebook site. They saw it, they saw the videos that Yul and Jamie had done, and they're interested in being able to be a part of our team. So those may seem insignificant, but it's been huge as far as the message that's been sent to our community about CTEC and the response that we're getting in kind. We're very appreciative of all those efforts. Having folks on board right now, for example, Jamie is our diesel tech teacher. All right, he's been able to help us build a program that doesn't exist at Hobbs schools right now. He's also been able to give some tours to some students. Gil Ramirez, the same thing, has been able to give tours and help us build what I think is going to be a state-of-the-art oil and gas facility over there. Without that, this beginning would not have been nearly as successful as it's been. So I'm very appreciative that we've been able to have that staff on board now to be able to do some of this creativity. Next page. All right, and then last but not least, I think a big piece of what makes CTEC successful is the relationships that we have in our community. All right, and so the partnerships. One of the partnerships right now that's really driving our success is the partnerships that we have with our capital partners. Okay, we meet with our capital partners once a month. All right, to give them the progress, to give them the update, gives them an opportunity to question kind of what we're doing, to ask, well, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? It's a good environment. It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us moving forward. One of the big pieces coming up is how do we continue to foster the other partners that we have? Our industry partners are those folks that have helped guide us in creating our pathways. All right. And they're partnering with us, some of them financially, all right, some of them in an advisory capacity, some of them are willing to take interns and apprenticeships, but that's all partnerships. That's all. It's going to make the community better. It's going to make us better. A good example of a partnership just yesterday, Richard's Energy, we're installing these, they're going to be oil pipes actually, but they're on the floor of the bridge. And basically what it is one of the codes for blind people, all right, is if you walk by a beam that sticks out, you have to have something that the stick will hit so that someone doesn't walk into it. All right, well, we wanted to make it match what we're doing. And so instead of doing a simple little piece of metal, they're actually going to use some oil field pipe, all right, to bring in who we are as a community. And so we needed some oil field pipe. Simple phone call to one of our partners. They're going to have some oil pipe delivered. It gives them a chance to be able to contribute to the facility, and it makes our facility unique. So those industry partners, that would not have been an easy phone call for me to make a year ago, but after going through this process and developing these partners, it's an easier phone call to make. And so we're very appreciative to have those partners out there with us. We will continue to create and acquire new partnerships. I think the more people who start to hear about what we're doing, the more people can see how this place is an advantage to them, but also gives them an opportunity to give back and share some of their expertise with us. Student recruitment. All right. It's coming fast, folks. All right. We register in February for the upcoming year. All right. We're getting a course handbook ready so that we can go into classes and we can start to tell these students why you should come to CTEC. So our timeline, all right, is in January, we'll give them applications. All right. So they can start to do that. They'll start to have a chance to be able to look through the course book, but then they'll begin that process of registering in February. Our counselor is on board already, Ms. Gaetan, all right, and her job is to make the CTEC schedule work with the high school schedule as far as Skyward and how kids enroll and do all of that. I'd like to say it's fun, but there are some courses that don't exist. For example, the oil and gas pathway, it doesn't exist if you look in the New Mexico standards for high school. So we're literally going to be creating courses in the STARS manual. Okay, so we call those opportunities. We have opportunities. So there's a lot of benchmarks that we're trying to hit as we get ready to bring these people on. Recruitment efforts, one of the things I'm most proud about, we've probably toured over 2,000 students already through the CTEC facility. Between Christy and Mr. Byers, my assistant principal, and Gil and Jamie, they've given tours to every single freshman student. All right, they've been at Houston Junior High talking in classes. We did a presentation at Heiser, I've presented to some kids at Highland. And so we're making a lot of efforts to get the word out for these students. Our other teachers have had the opportunity to bring their own courses through because they teach current CTE. So Ms. Burns' programming kids have been able to come through. Mr. Medina's construction kids have come through. Our culinary arts students have been able to come through. We brought them through early on, and we're going to bring them through again as they get closer, so they can start to see that finished product. I think that's going to create that excitement and that urgency when it comes time for recruitment. Regional recruitment. Once we've registered all of our students, we have a feel for how many spots we have remaining, right? We will engage the local area. We'll engage the communities around us, and we'll say, we have some spots. I know this would fit some of your kids, and they'll have an opportunity to fill out an application, and those schools will be able to select some students that they could send over to CTEC. So we haven't forgot that mission of serving this whole area. That's our timeline with the student recruitment. We're excited about where we're at, and I'm gonna pause for any questions.
A lot of information.
Yes, it is.
Surely somebody has a question.
Well, his little presentation was very comprehensive.
The salaries between these guys was as special as regular teachers that are gonna get jealous. Teachers like me that would get jealous.
So
What are the salaries? A little bit higher, better?
So what we're doing is we're incentivizing salaries from people from industry. So if they have some certifications from industry and so forth, we're incentivizing those salaries to try to get to a level that's competitive as a professional wage. Yes, sir. Part of the reason why we're creating a fund is so that we can continue to incentivize those salaries outside of Hobbs Municipal Schools in a manner that allows us to continue to keep. We have to realize that a lot of these folks could make more money doing jobs outside the schools than they are here. So we're going to do what we can do to try to incentivize and try to keep them here for the longevity of the program.
2 weeks of Christmas and spring break.
Summer job.
Yeah.
No on call.
You're gonna introduce
At lunchtime, you can count on.
You're gonna introduce your teachers, because we don't know, I don't know them.
I'd love to introduce them for you. Yes, sir. Okay, so Anna Burns in programming. All right, Juan Carlos Medina. So I'm gonna give him a big shout out. So Juan Carlos Medina is our construction teacher, but he's actually making a change to automation. All right, so he's gonna be our automation teacher moving forward. That was a big step and we appreciate that. All right, Ashley Gaitan is our counselor. So she's our CTE counselor. All right, Holly Smith is our hospitality teacher. All right, Christy Hughes, all right, is our community schools liaison. All right, she'll be managing our internships and apprenticeships as we move forward. Maria Lee is going to be culinary arts. Sarah Calloway is going to be culinary arts. Tonya O'Brien, my favorite O'Brien, is culinary arts.
I just thought about it.
Is our welding teacher. I'll brag on Cody. Cody just got back to us from Cleveland. He was at Lincoln learning to be a trainer. So as we continue to move our certifications forward, we've been doing that. Doug Byers, my assistant principal. Gil Ramirez, our oil and gas instructor. Jamie McGee, our diesel instructor. And hiding in the back, Laura Ponce, who does not want me to call her name. All right. She will be our networking teacher. All right. So thank you guys for being here. They did not need to be here tonight, but appreciate it a lot. We wanted you guys to have a feel for the team we've got together, the work we've been doing. We're proud of where we're at.
I really just want to say one thing. I think we can do some salary reduction in the directors.
Write that down. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I know.
And I do want to clarify that was a shot at your brother and not you, sir.
Should have clarified before. I really, I think. Yeah, I'm sure that's not it. Thank you. I really want to thank everybody too. I mean, it's so great to see where we're at now. And it's some, we're beginning with Sam with some of the meetings that even before that, with, Mr. Parks, and to see where this is coming. It's definitely a story that's still being written. I have feeling in my heart it's going to be a success story for years to come. But it's definitely a story that we're proud to share, and I'm glad that we do share it with other people around the state. And I hope that we can continue to do that, and share with some of the some of the things we've heard or I've heard at certain things with the state is the funding. It's Southeast New Mexico, y'all got all the money, and I said you got to work your butt off to get that. I know in the beginning, guys going around and getting grants and partnerships and things like that, and I think that's a real important part of the story to share with other communities around the state. Hey, that's how it happens. You don't walk down Broadway and pick up a pot of gold, in Southeast New Mexico and boom, it happens. It takes a lot of work. And I really think that that is a very important part of the story to share, is how, especially with other communities that may not, some of the funding issues around the state, things like that, to get these other communities involved. But thank you all very much. I mean, it's really an honor y'all here. Can't wait for culinary arts to kick up.
Yeah, if you look at that course guide, it's not keto friendly.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Bring your
favorite,
stretchy pants.
Yeah.
the pizza, pasta and bread.
I saw that one too. I said, I'm gonna roll them.
Yeah.
But before I said, I do echo your response on creating the community. All right, our partners are phenomenal. They're taking us to Denver 2 weeks to go see another facility. They just keep reaching out and offering help. What can they do to help us? I feel that you're right. If a community wants to do what we're trying to do, they need the partners who are behind them, helping them the way our partners are. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you for coming.
We are truly blessed to have capital partners that we do. And I always want to thank you. If we ever appear not grateful, you just slap us and say, hey, but we're truly grateful.
Y'all want to leave? Come leave if you want to.
You better go while they
Yeah.
get.
You got kids to feed, you better go now.
I know. Got better things to do.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. We look forward to hearing wonderful stuff.
Okay, while they're moseying out, we can start with instruction.
President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland. We're looking today at the multi-layer system of support. And the first thing you're going to come to is the survey that every school completed. You're looking at a paper version, but they were online. So as you get into the survey and you see here on this page, there's a score that would feed it as they answered the survey. So all of those numbers would self-feed into there. If you scroll down to the next one, because here's the main point of the whole survey, finding those areas and then finding your greatest need, your highest priority, and setting a goal for that. One of the things that they had told that our coach, we have a coach, as every district does, that helps us through this process as we're implementing it. He said, tie it to your 90-day plan goal. You don't need a whole different goal to try to be keeping up with along with your 90-day plan. She said, because it talks about the tiers of instruction, and a lot of the 90-day plans talk about tiers of instruction. So we were able to do that, and that helped the schools tremendously. So I know this one's a little lengthy there, but if you'll kind of now scroll through there, I'm going to get to the PowerPoint and explain some of these layers. So I am, Terry, I don't know where it ends. I'm finding the end. The ending?
Page 55.
55, thank you. If y'all get to 55, we'll see who gets there first.
I'm there.
Okay. I'm almost there.
Can't read it. Forgot my glasses. I should keep some.
All right. We get to the PowerPoint that is MLSS right at the top. So this is the state's PowerPoint, and starting as early as last year, I became the point of contact for our district through this process. And every month we have a monthly check-in where they're teaching us not only about it, but about resources, about deadlines. And so every month we check in. Plus we have a state level coach who we can call for any questions. And she's been very helpful, very nice and very helpful. The second slide I adjusted because I wanted you to see close up the emblem. Terry, go back one, please. The emblem here really sums it all up. So we have the 3 layers of intervention, which are the 1, 2, 3 in the middle. Then around it will be the school supports. You're gonna see that as we go through here. The classroom supports, excuse me. Then the light yellow, the school supports. And then these are new levels here in the darker yellow, the health and wellness, the family and the community. So that's what we're gonna be looking at, but that's their emblem there where it shows you everything at one time. So really what they tried to do is they tried to take all of the things that were going on through the State Department and bring them together under one framework. And so that became the multi-layer system of support. And you can see it began with adapting the response to intervention and SAT and pulling them together better as well. It also talks about providing for all students, which is the next slide. And I'll show you a comparison also. It empowers teachers and it's really going to talk about more of flexibility in this system than in the prior system, which was the response to intervention. So if you go to the next one. At the bottom of this one, you're going to see where it changes. The response to intervention is the green, and it's just very divided in tier 1 being core instruction, tier 2 a SAT referral, and tier 3 SPED. And now a child can move through any layer without being SPED. A SPED child can move through any layer. It's what they coined the phrase of the old model being the wait to fail model. You had to do worse before you could go to the next level. So they are trying to make it now where teachers have a lot more say in it. The next one is, once again, making sure that all struggling learners can use any part of this system, any tier. And when they get to a new tier, that doesn't mean the previous tier goes away. It continues. And I'll tell you, when we went through this with the principals, they said, well, we were doing that anyway, but the program prior wasn't designed for it. It was very firm in that, and now we have a lot more flexibility. On the SAT side, which is the next comparison, you'll see as well, just more of the same. You're not stuck in a tier, which is now a layer. You have access, and teachers have control of that. They don't have to take a child to a SAT team for a very formal meeting before they can make a decision. They can actually do that with their content area group in their common planning time. So those decisions can be made there. Now, SAT's not going away. We still need that process for identifying students who need testing of some kind or other special supports of some kind. So it's still there, but this just gives it a lot more flexibility. Okay, the last few, we're just going to kind of look at these 3 supports a little better. I thought you might like to see on layer 1, Terry, which is the next one, an idea about what some of the things would be happening for all students. That's why I put these in here. And you'll notice they all have academic and behavior supports. And so if you're saying, well, what would that look like? You've got some great examples there. The same thing for layer 2, which would be some students, although remember, they're still in 1, even if they go to 2. And layer 3, which would be fewer students, but who would still be getting support all the way down. Then we'll start looking at the rings now on our previous design, and these would be what school supports would look like. In the additional supports, so health and wellness, and they list some great examples there of what that might be. Family supports, and the last one, community supports. So they made the system more robust, but made it more flexible and made it more usable and empowered teachers in the process. So we are just in the beginnings. The survey was the very beginning of seeing where every school is at, so they can see where they are in this process and begin to learn it. So we're just at the beginning steps, but I think once we get it going and get it implemented and start focusing on some of these areas, we're going to see some good things happening.
Or
And I'll stand for questions.
anytime you get direction from PED, it's like constantly. And then I know you get frustrated going, oh my gosh, what now? More work for us. Do you feel like this is getting better than the old one, or just they just piling it on you?
No, I think it is better.
Okay, good.
We thought so last year too, when we were first looking at it, because it brings it all together. You're not doing this separate from doing this, separate from, it's really all under one thing now. And I think that's going to be
Good.
When it, I noticed that one of the opportunities under, 3 was pull-out services. Who's pulling out?
remember, this will include not just if you were a resource room, but also language services of any kind. Maybe you have OT, PT. I mean, it's all going to be in here together. All kinds of supports will be in the multi-layer system of any kind of support.
So they're going to allow OT and PT for non-sped kids?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're included in a support, a pull-out service. You could also be doing a small group in your classroom. Maybe the teacher has a small group to the side, or the structural assistant has a small group to the side. Yeah, everybody couldn't be
Yeah,
all of that.
kind of confused
Yeah.
me.
Yes, that would not be a step forward.
No.
Thank you.
There are no other questions then. Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Are we ready for human resources?
Sir, Mr. President, we have Mr. Brian Bird here tonight. Mr. Young is out on medical leave and happy to report doing good. We spoke to him just this evening before we came down and is recuperating well and goes back tomorrow for a follow-up. But we're glad to have him back and glad to see him on the road to recovery or glad to see him mending.
President Eidson, Superintendent Strickland, members of the board. So in your package, you had the monthly human resource employment and resignation. As we go through it, our certified employment since the last board meeting, we did have 2 hires. We had a hire of a math teacher at Hobbs High who is returning to us from a neighboring district. And then we also were able to hire a social worker. For our classified employment, we had a total of 14. Obviously, they're listed for you. Most are paraprofessionals. We did have a few secretaries that had left that we were able to hire for those positions. And with our resignations, for this month, we had 1 resignation of a social studies teacher at Houston Middle School. And just for the board's information, that was due to taking a job outside of education. Decided to make a career change.
I hope he wasn't because of this new standards coming out.
No, sir. And then classified resignations, we had a total of 9. I would also like to update the board on kind of where we are with recruiting for the fall semester. Mr. Young, either he and I together or separately, we've attended 8 up to this point. Well, I'm sorry, 7. The last one will be this Friday at UTEP, but we've attended Mary Hardin Baylor, UTPB, Northwest Oklahoma State, the University of Central Oklahoma, Sam Houston State, and Texas State. So we will be finishing up the fall recruiting on this Friday. We seem to be getting some good response from some of the candidates. what we'll do is after we meet with them at the fair, then we always follow up that following day that we get back into the building, be it a Friday or a Monday, with an email, just so that, you know, hey, Hobbs schools, you know, we're interested, you know, we want you to come and work for us. We also send that information out to the principals, and we encourage our principals to review any of those candidates and please to reach out, you know, if they have a job opening at their building. Because sometimes I know from a student, teacher, or candidate that's coming in, when they hear from those building principals, that goes a long way too, more so than just some guy from human resources. And so we really encourage our principals to do that, and you know, they've been on board with that. So, but at this time, I stand for any questions that the board may have.
I'm curious, when you go to these places for the job fairs or whatever, how many contacts do you make? at a
So
specific-
on average, so it'll depend on what kind of job fair. If it's a career fair where you have different, you know, people looking for jobs with, like over at UTPB, Halliburton was there, Schlumberger. So that one we didn't have as many contacts. I think ended up with 3 or 4 that were actually would be alternative licensure, because they have a degree in something else that we could get them into the teaching field. Now, when we go to our traditional job fairs where it's just teacher candidates, like Texas State this last time, with Mr. Young and I together, we probably had 30 to 35 people that we spoke to that we're now following up with.
What I was wondering is, how many graduates are coming out of these universities or colleges with teaching degrees, you know?
It depends on the school. So like Texas State's got a very huge education department, where at the fair that they had, they probably had close to, for the fall, about 100 people that were going to graduate. Now in the spring, Texas State will be bigger, because generally people finish their degrees in the spring versus the fall. Northwest Oklahoma State, which has a huge program. When I was up there, I probably saw 35 to 40 graduates just for the fall. And then the director there told me, she's like, you guys need to come back. And I said, well, yes, ma'am, we always come back. But in the spring, they were going to have close to 150. So it just depends on the university and what kind of education program that they have in place.
Okay. Thank you. That helps. Any other questions for Mr. Bird? Okay, thank you.
When you go to those University of Texas satellite schools that are
Yes.
University of Texas, right?
Yes.
Make sure you let them know that Tech is bowl eligible and they're not. May not get any recruits that way. You better not say that. I guess. Yeah.
All right, well, we're ready to move on to data, it looks like.
Maybe the teacher in me, I need to be up here at the podium. The first item I'm just going to hand out, it's not in your board. Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland. I have 3 agenda items for you tonight related to my department data analysis. Some of these things may look familiar, as you've heard Mr. Cantu come talk to you guys over the years past about these various items. So I apologize if I'm repeating any information that you already know, but I just want to be able to explain where the numbers are coming from and whatnot. So the first item is 40-day attendance. And the reason that the numbers were not in the board packet was, as I was preparing those to send to Terry to put on there, I noticed that there were some errors in the way that it was reported. So I want to be honest and transparent about that. The end of the verification for 40-day was Friday at midnight. And we discovered this on Friday afternoon. And so We didn't have enough time to get it rectified, but we are working on that. So what you'll see on the left-hand side in the gray boxes, those are last year's 40-day attendance percentages as far as chronic attendance rate. Those are students that are absent, have missed 20% or more of the school year. And so the gray boxes are the ones from last year. The yellow is the updated. And I think if you look across just at a few schools, you'll see there's a significant difference there, and not in a good way. And so that was alarming to me when I first looked at that. What we have discovered is the way that quarantines are being reported, the way that it goes from our student information system Skyward to the state reporting system STARS. There's a discrepancy there, and we're working with Skyward and with PED to get that fixed. But I wanted to show you, I spoke with Superintendent Strickland, and we wanted to show you what numbers were reported to the state, but these numbers are going to change. So like I said, just, you know, in full transparency for you guys to see what those numbers are. But I think it's interesting to look at. We've had quite a few quarantines. We've had quite a few students on quarantine. And so with the 80-day report, I hope to be able to show you this again and show you how taking those quarantines out made a huge difference. And our building principals and our teachers are working very hard to have that continuity for students even when they're on quarantine. So they are still receiving instructional practice, they're still receiving instructional time even when they're on quarantine. So it's not the same as just missing school. So I think that is going to be kind of a revelation to us of how many of our students have been affected by that. But those numbers will be very different, I think, when we are able to fix that between the way our system talks to STARS. So I'll stand for any questions on that specifically before I move on.
I'm glad you caught it. Double check it because
It almost, looking at this, kind of sounds understandable. 2021, they were at home.
yeah,
They weren't in school. Now they come back to school, and sure, they're gonna get sick. They're gonna spread it. And
Right.
so I would expect
Mhm.
the numbers to go up. Honestly.
Right. But for half of our kids to have missed
Right.
already, you know, out of 49 days of school to have already missed 9-10 days, that's pretty significant. So so that's what was alarming to me, was to look at that and say, oh my gosh, that doesn't look right. So I regret that I didn't catch it sooner, before that reporting period ended, because now we had to actually officially report those numbers, and now we have to work with the state to kind of backtrack on that. All right, so my next item is regarding the cohort of 2021. So why are we talking about class of 2021 after they've already graduated? One of my jobs is to ensure that every student is counted and every student is located to count for graduation rate. And so the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation that's in your packet, is really just kind of explaining that process a little bit. And as I said, I know that Mr. Cantu probably went through this with you a little bit in the past, but I just wanted to explain that graduation rate is not a simple mathematical calculation. It takes into a lot of factors. And so that's why it's so important that the state gives us the opportunity in the fall to really dig into it and make sure that every student gets counted. So what is included in a cohort? So every student who entered 9th grade in 2017-18 is the beginning of the 2021 cohort. Every student who then transferred into a New Mexico school after that year as a 10th grader in 1819, as an 11th grader in 1920, or as a senior in 2021 also gets included in that cohort. So any student who attended a New Mexico public education institution that receives state funding for 2 consecutive snapshots. So basically a semester. We have a 40-day and an 80-day in this semester. So that's our snapshot. Those are our 2 snapshots. That equals a semester. Any student that was in New Mexico going to school for 2 snapshots counts in somebody's graduation rate. If they were with us for 2 snapshots, they count for us. If they were with us for 2 snapshots and Lovington for 2 snapshots, they count for us and they count for Lovington. So it's that shared accountability. Students who are not included in the cohort, they get exited from the cohort if they move out of state, and we can verify that. If they move out of the country, and we can verify that. Or if they transferred to an official private school or an official homeschool. It has to be official. It has to be recognized by PED. So that's how we end up with the numbers that we end up with. So taking those factors into account, the class of 2021, we had 831 students either enter at 9th grade, come to us at 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, sometime during that 4-year window, and be with us at least 2 snapshots. 831 were in that class. 50 of those students we can verify either moved out of state, moved out of country, or went to a legitimate homeschool or private school. And that leaves us with 174 that we don't know what happened to them. And that's where this review process comes in, and that's what the high school, the alternative school, and the freshman school are all working very diligently right now to try to locate these students. But what I mean by that we don't know what happened to them, they did not attend another New Mexico PED run school or funded school district in those 4 years. There are no other snapshots for that student. We were the last known New Mexico school that they attended. So it becomes our job to find them and figure out what happened to them. So just, briefly on the pie chart, if we don't find those 174 kids or any of them, and then you subtract out those 50 that we know what happened to them, that leaves us with 607 graduates, which, as you'll remember from last year, was the largest Hobbs High School graduating class, but that's still only 73% of those kids. So we're working very hard to find those kids. And I anticipated that in the spring, when the state releases the official graduation rate, that I'll be able to present to you what our real graduation rate is. But that's our starting point, and then we'll be moving forward from there. So
I have a question before you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your tracking mechanism for trying to hunt down a student that was here?
Phone calls.
Mhm.
Call the parents that are listed in Skyward. Call any siblings, aunts, uncles, any emergency contact that they might have put down there. We use our what used to be our truancy officers, but our attendance liaisons.
Okay.
We use our principals. We use our secretaries. Every Facebook. Do you know so? Oh, you're friends with so and so, and yeah. It's a team effort, and we really are looking for those kids. And sometimes they just tell us, I'm not coming back, but at least now we know what happened to them. That doesn't help our graduation rate if they don't come back and finish, but at least we can say where they went, and what happened to them. So, but we make every effort. And I will say that Ms. Jackson has 4 from the 6-year cohort right now that they've convinced to come back and finish up. They've been gone for 2 years. They should have graduated 2 years ago, and now we're back. So we'll be able to count them later in the cohort when they're in that 6-year cohort. So sometimes late is better than never, but so the next slide just talks about snapshots, and every student has 16 snapshots if they are in New Mexico schools for all 4 years. So 4 snapshots per year. I talked about the shared accountability model. What that means is for however many snapshots they're with us, that's what percentage their graduation rate counts for us. So if they start at Hobbs Freshman School, graduate from Hobbs High School, they had all 16 snapshots with us, they graduate, that's a 1. We get 1 point for that kid. If they stayed with us as a freshman and then went to, let's say, Lovington, they would have 12 snapshots there and 4 snapshots here. So they still are worth 1 point, but we only get 4 out of 16 of those points, or 0.25, and Lovington would get the 0.75. Now, if they don't graduate though, they hurt us as much. They hurt us less than they would hurt Lovington. It's still that shared responsibility. So you can see just kind of my explanation of that on the next slide. Interestingly, I thought this was an interesting just kind of tidbit. Of those 813 that I talked about at the beginning, 511 of those were with us for all 16 of their snapshots. They were Hobbs schools all the way through from freshman to senior year. Of those 511, 496 of them graduated on time, 97%. So the ones that are with us and stick with us the whole high school career, they have a pretty good shot at graduating on time. And so that speaks to their perseverance and endurance, but also to us as a school district, I believe. And then the very last thing is just a comparison of graduation rates over the last 11 years, from 2010 to 2020. 2021 is not on here yet because we don't know what it's going to be yet. But just to kind of give you an idea of, we don't want that 73% graduation rate to stick. We're going to find some of those kids and be able to put an outcome on them. But 85.4% was class of 2020, just to kind of give you a little perspective on that. I will stand for any questions on 2021 cohort.
I would expect all districts having issues the same deal, it's gonna be.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be an asterisk by the end. 10 years from now, everybody's going, what was that? Oh, yeah, COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Mr. President, I can, add to that comment. Yes, all districts are struggling with where their kids went. And Ms. Bird's exactly right. Some students, when we do get a hold of them, whether it's through their social media channels that they're communicating on, and they give us that answer of, look, I'm not coming back. I'm just done. I'm at work. My family needs work, and so districts are echoing that same comment. Same thing on attendance. I appreciate your comment in recognizing, yeah, they are back. We are going to see some of that escalate with them being back face to face, but literally today, from micro districts to the largest districts, they're reporting the same thing, that attendance is shocking to them. I didn't tell them, hey, we're working out our cues to get us a bigger picture of what it is, but yeah, attendance is an issue as well. And I think that's a side effect of COVID. We got comfortable being at home. And so being accountable and being present, it is a trait that we need to re-engage.
Reteach.
Reteach.
Re-educate.
Mhm.
Not just teach it.
Not just academics.
Okay.
All right, the third thing I have on your agenda is 40-day related as well, but our current membership and enrollment report. I have I provided for you a comparison from last year. So the first group or the first table there, 2020 to 21 membership report, you have the 40, 80, 120 and EOY, and you can see those enrollment, membership, and then the FTE membership numbers. And all we have right now is 40-day, but you can at least compare to the table above and see where we stand compared to the same time last year. And also If you take an average of the 80-day and 120-day from last year, I've also provided a comparison there of what our 40-day looks like compared to that average number from last year. And so we've got a difference if you're looking at the average from last year to this year, or the difference in 40-day to 40-day from last year. 10 fewer enrollment numbers. Membership is down 81 students, and the FTE membership is down 79. I will tell you that I looked at Mr. Cantu's report from last year, same time, and that number was in the hundreds, not in the teens. So it's not where we would like to be, but it's not as dire as it was the same time this same time last year. Stand for any questions on those numbers.
I have none.
Numbers are numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what we like about them. They're the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
There you go. There you go. Constant.
We're ready for operations. Hello, Frank.
Oh, good evening, President, members of the board, and Superintendent Strickland. Happy to be here with you tonight to give you kind of a brief update on operations, let you know what we're doing. It's probably going to be a very busy year next year. We've got a couple of projects ready to roll out, so I'll just go through the slideshow with you quickly. Southern Heights Elementary Replacement. It's our next big project that's coming out, and it's on track. EPS, our architect, has been meeting several times now in the past week to kind of fine tune specific areas with like IT, Honeywell, the librarian. We've gone around now with pretty much every group in the school so that we get a really good set of plans put together. Right now, the construction documents are planning on being submitted Thursday, only 2 days from now. That won't be the bid set. This has to go to the state and get a permit before the state will allow us to actually issue the RFP. One little challenge that came up this week is the state informed us that we have to have our roofing consultant and our performance assurance contractor under contract before we can go out to bid. So those are being prepared this week, and we'll get out on the street for that. So we're shooting for board approval in January. Now, the state has also informed me that getting a permit is probably not as quick as what our schedule has identified. So just to give you a heads up, it may be another month before it comes before the board. Any questions on Southern Heights?
When you say board approval, what?
So we'll have
awarding the bid, or is that for going to bid, or?
No, this would be once we secure the bids and go through the selection process.
Okay.
And this is going to be a qualification-based selection, not a low bid and not a CMAR. So there will be a price component, but also questions and qualifications. So we get a little more input on who the contractor will be.
Good.
And so it will be that selection that we come to you with.
No, we don't want a courthouse.
No, we don't. That hurt.
I know.
I had nothing to do with that.
I know you did.
Our next project with the state is the Mills site improvements. That now is in construction document phase, being reviewed by the state. We have done our review and blessed it. We did have that bid alternate to take out the bus lane just to ensure that we're within our budget. So we've got that all wrapped up. And again, that project will bid in January and hopefully get it to the board the 18th of February. Maybe we'll have a few things to talk to you about on February. I won't go through all the specific items. I don't want to take up too much of your time. On the security ward projects, we've been tracking that every week. So right now, Stone Elementary, the hardware will be shipped the day before Christmas. As soon as it gets in, we've already got the doors and the aluminum frame ready to go. So that will be put in place ASAP. Unfortunately, Edison, we have not been able to get any commitment by the manufacturer as to when these electronic panic devices will be available. So what we're doing is we're looking at a substitute. Instead of a Von Duprin panic device, we're looking at a Sargent. They have the same components and functions. And as long as they work with our access security system and the lock shop approves this, substitution, we know that we can get those in 6 to 8 weeks. So that may be a way to get going on this so we don't get this project into the next year. So on both of those projects, we have submitted the letter to the state since our award has expired. And there's a very, very good chance that we will be able to go back and reapply for those funds. And stipulated in the letter, as for PSFA, we have until October of 2022 to get the projects done. So I'm pretty certain we can get the panic devices by that time. Let's hope so. Another project that we've got on our list is the Tidings Auditorium chiller replacement. So again, I had mentioned that we had submitted a letter to the state allowing Honeywell to be the engineer and the contractor on this job. So they're reviewing that. And we have authorized Honeywell to make the modifications to the engineering drawings that will now separate the 100 wing from the auditorium. We've got 2 separate chillers, be more cost effective. Over at Heiser Middle School, we have now gotten that RFP off to the newspaper, so that should be coming out Sunday. So that will be something that we will and have a process of selecting a planner, architect to do that work and analyze Heiser to determine if we rebuild it, build new, or build somewhere else. That's moving right along. On our list of other new projects, I had told you about the REC7 project. The update on that basically is we've got a little packet to give to the architect. I've talked with MTSR Architects in Carlsbad and out in Hobbs, and they are interested in doing that project. They are a CES vendor. So we'll be giving that project to them. The central kitchen freezer is another very important project to the district. Our current freezer is at capacity, only has 1 stack capability for goods, so they basically have to have trucks come in every day. So what we're planning, of course, I think I'd mentioned it last time, about a 3,000 square foot addition off to the east of the 600 wing where the storage yard is for the act shop. It's surrounded by parking lots and a drive lane. We won't encroach on any of that work. This will just be a metal building to house a prefabricated freezer, basically. A metal building, I'll qualify that a little bit. So if you've been on the high school campus where the 500 wing is, on the west side, we had, LASCO had built a storage room there, metal building, but a brick wainscot around the 8 feet high around the base. So it ties into the building, but it also is just a metal building. We're trying to save money here. We've got a quote for the freezer. Maintenance shop is going to actually construct that or put it together. It's a kit form. Honeywell will then hook up all the refrigeration required. And on that one, I have contacted DPS to see if they would be interested in doing that. And they said they would be, as well as all of the other high school improvements that will be coming up as soon as CTEC is built and some spaces are vacated. So that package will be going to DPS this week, as well as the package to Brad Nesser for the REC 7. I won't touch on the high school interior alterations. I have not met with any of the principals, do some programming on what we're going to do there. That will be coming up quickly. Highland Middle School addition and alteration project I had mentioned to you, we're going to be adding on to the east of that. Again, Brad Nesser has expressed an interest, so he will be getting that package at the end of the week. Now we've got 3 packages going out to architects as well as Heiser. Fighting auditoriums, restroom alteration. We'll just leave this on the list. I have not gotten over there with Mark to go over what we're going to be doing, but that will be similar. And again, either DPS or NPSR is willing to be the CES architect, get these things accomplished. Sidings, auditorium air filtration. So we have talked to Honeywell about this. Although we do have this system in ETEC, the bipolar ionization system, and we're planning on putting it in the Southern Heights building. Honeywell has kind of sent us a little cautionary note that this is an emerging technology and there really does need to be some more research on it before we commit to doing more and more buildings with this system in it. We were going to have a meeting on the 17th tomorrow on that, but due to some family emergencies on their end, we're going to need to reschedule that. The new project that I've added to this list is an old one, actually. We started this about 3 years ago, or at least I had started on it. And this is the College Lane site improvements. So the traffic situation at College Lane, as everybody knows, is quite horrendous. We had developed some plans, which I've included in the handout, which we accomplished at Wilson and Company. And the plan has been developed in concert with Todd Randall, so he's aware of what the plan is, and I'll be meeting with him this month to just verify what the city's plans are for the road extensions going north and south to College Lane. But the 2 plans basically will provide 58 staff parking spaces on layout number 1. We'll have 68 visitor parking slots, as well as 45 spaces for loading kids. So that's going to be a great improvement over what they've got currently. If we really wanted to increase that, the second layout has a loop on the loading area. So that's going to increase the 45 up to 65. So this is a project that I feel that we really need to move forward on. The life safety issue up there. And that will be, you don't see it.
For whatever reason, those images were there this
They were
morning when I
there.
looked.
I see it on mine.
You do? Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know why it's not refreshing to pull that in.
Oh, if you download it, then you can see it.
Oh, instead of using the version.
Okay, well,
No.
Show and tell.
There we go. Okay, now it's making sense. It's just a big white blob. Like that.
Well, let me tell you. The way they have students loading and unloading at College Lane. I have rental property. And they come down and they circle into my rental property to turn around. I'm thinking about making that a toll turn. I don't know how many people do it, but it's fun. Okay. Is that the same thing? No, that's the little,
Similar, but.
oh, they're gonna get rid of the kindergarten play area. Oh, big time if they do that.
Yeah, you pulled a lot of people off College Lane with that.
Yeah.
Out of your rental property, is that?
Isn't that the truth?
Better get that toll booth up.
Yeah, you better make
know.
money now.
I'm gonna pass them this way. Why are our computers bumping off? Did we,
I have,
mine
See, mine,
bumps off?
I'll pan as I get going this way. Boom.
Yeah,
you guys applied the update on onboard,
I don't know.
Yes.
asked for
I
it.
did.
Is that what you think it is, David?
Probably above.
No. Yeah, mine didn't bump off, but it has the same
I was
graphic
doing
image
this
as
at
you
home
guys.
also.
Yeah,
So I
mine
thought,
does too.
What we'll do is we'll have David reach out to you guys after the night. We'll take a look at your iPads and see if we need to update them or something.
Thought I
This is
did
option
the
2.
update.
This is option 1.
Oh, that's what we were busy doing. We weren't inattentive. We were just trying to get our.
Technology, gotta love it.
No, you don't have to love it.
So we are quite active over there in the operations department. I think 2022 is going to be a very exciting year. We have a lot of activity going on, and
Really?
I think
When do
so.
we start on that College Lane thing?
It's really,
No, that's
for me,
okay.
it's going to be a high priority. I think it's a life safety issue.
Yeah.
We really need to address that.
Especially since my dog likes to climb over the fence. Yeah, I do have a fence. I have fence. And the dog climbs over and every once in a while she gets over there. So I can't be having her, you know. The College Lane's really sweet to call me and get her.
I assume we're building the new refrigerator for growth. So it's gonna be large enough to, when we have 10,000 more kids here.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that particular refrigerator, be approximately 1,600 square feet. And it'll be designed so we can have a rack system in there, so it will double the footprint area. According to Sonia and Mark, they feel that 1,600 square feet is the minimum they need
Yeah, that's what I'm
to
thinking.
relieve their
We
pressure.
want to go minimum. We kind of want a little cushion in there, I would think.
And Mr. President, one thing that we're going to have to start considering as a school district and really as a community is that central kitchen model the best model as we get that large? Sonia's number today, breakfast and lunch combined, was just under 7,000 meals that were provided today. And so, Frank was the architect when we built that central kitchen, and we were seeing a volume of around 3,200 meals a day. And so, and that was about
So
8,000 students.
it's his fault.
It's Frank's fault. We're blaming it on Frank. But, that was well before our provision 2 that we provide to all students breakfast and lunch. And so we're super excited that students are participating in it because we know they're getting nutritious meals, breakfast and lunch, 5 days a week. But that does bring about that next question of, is a single central kitchen the best model as we begin to eclipse that 10,000 number, or right now 7,000 meals? If you want to see an amazing operation, come sign up. I'll get you a hairnet and we'll go watch lunch prep. it is truly a remarkable operation to see Sonia and her team day in and day out produce the volume of food that they do. That kids love. Granted, you don't satisfy 100% of the population 100% of the time, but you all know I was a principal last week, and I ate cafeteria lunch every day and loved every day of it. And so it was good. So yeah, that does bring about that next question of where growth goes and where we do, and if that's conversation with a middle school replacement or a fourth middle school, where we locate an additional kitchen to where we split that production in half. We would right size this central kitchen to satisfy 3,500 of those meals, 4,000 of those meals, and right size another kitchen that could satisfy that. So absolutely in the thought process, that 1,600 square feet would get us what we need. In addition to that, rack system would give us 3,200 square feet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, we're ready to move to the business side of this meeting. We've had our packet since last week and had an opportunity to ask questions and get answers, and trust everybody did, so just great. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland, before I do that, I did want to mention we did get the audit submitted on time. So I anticipate probably January, February, once the state auditor does his little blessing, she'll be here to present that.
He's campaigning.
It was finalized and submitted. It's just being reviewed by them.
Oh, that's Brian Cologne. isn't it?
Yeah.
We just have to wait on them, but it was done timely. So, all right. So for your consideration, we have the expenditures, the investments, and we have one bar for the C-Tech furniture.
Attorney General. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You asked me a question and I can't think and do things.
I
at the same time.
apologize.
Nah, it's not your fault.
Okay,
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the expenditures, investments, and the bid. Only one bid.
second. Have a motion in a second. For no questions, all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, and the other thing is just the quarterly report.
Okay.
Your monthly report for your review.
Thank you, Ms. Gray.
Thank you.
Mr. Strickland, you're up.
Mr. President, members of the board, the first item I have for your consideration is a COVID premium pay for all staff of Hobbs Municipal Schools for the fall 21 semester. These funds have been budgeted through our ESSER II federal dollars, CARES Act. And what we budgeted in that was to satisfy $1,000 net per employee. And we didn't want anyone taking home less than 1,000. But recognizing that it has been a long time since Labor Day. Talking to staff, seeing staff, talking to students, seeing students, it seems like a year ago that Labor Day, which was our last holiday, our school holiday. And so we have been going full speed since then. Wanted to take the opportunity and split that premium pay in 2 equal halves so that we could have a fall compensation and a spring compensation. This is our letter. I have sent this to legal counsel to ask them render an opinion. And speaking with legal counsel, they are prepared to do that. By you taking action on this tonight, it would allow us to begin that process to have these premium pay compensations available to leave the last day of the semester and have it in employees' hands before we go home for Christmas break. I don't think there's any secret as it relates to the effects that COVID continues to have on our employees. Many of our employees continue to be engaged in multiple environments. Educators, whether they're certified, classified, we're providing instruction for students in person. If they're quarantined, we're getting them virtual model, we're getting them Zoom still to help support them. Whether it's maintenance staff or nursing staff, additional burden that has been placed on all staff throughout COVID has been extensive. This $500 I think would go a long way in supporting staff and their efforts as those conditions continue throughout the semester.
Just having to wear a mask the whole semester is worth a whole heck of a lot more than $500, but I understand.
Let me go back to something you just said. So if we have teachers, when the kids go into quarantine, are they remote learning?
Mr. President, Ms. Jones, I would say that model that you just described is present. Some teachers are offering that Zoom model based upon their classroom, based whether their comfort level is there or not. Some teachers are recording their lesson and posting that so that students have access to it. And some still are literally just providing it after hours opportunities for kids.
And the reason for asking that, because the model is that if people wanted to keep their kids at home, they weren't having any teacher instruction. It was only this, because I want to be sure that I was understanding.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. President, Ms. Jones, that is our OLA model. That continues to be an option. And you are correct. If a parent elects to have their child in OLA, it is understood that there is no in-person instruction for that. It truly is the various, is it exact path that we have for elementary and Edgenuity for secondary. That is a true virtual or a true remote model. It is not a virtual instructional model. Again, this premium pay is allowable as defined within ESER 2. And we believe the payment to be beneficial and supports the retention of current staff and to maintain small class sizes and quality instruction.
Absolutely. I had no issues with that. I don't either.
Oh, well, I make a motion that we approve the COVID pay, premium pay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I wish we could do more, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we absolutely do. Mr. President, members of the board, the next few pages I have is simply information. And it's really to bring a highlight to what REC 7 does for us here in Lee County. There are 4 school districts that participate in REC 7, that being Eunice, Jal, Tatum, and Lovington. We are the, not Lovington, my apologies, Tatum and Hobbs are the 4 districts that participate in REC 7. And that literature there, shout out to Andy and his support of spotlighting REC 7 and their support. We appreciate that. Cliff, Mr. Birch was appreciative of that measure. So it was interesting to hear him say, people finally said, Mr. Birch, I didn't know what you do. So he absolutely appreciated that opportunity to share that purpose and really share how they meet needs for us, the district that we are, the size of district we are, but also other districts in their various size.
It was a good article.
The next item I have for your consideration, oh, my apologies. Yeah, it is for your consideration, is a consideration to accept the dissolving of Lee County Distance Education Consortium. And you have in your packet the measure that all 5 school districts within that have signed, as well as New Mexico Junior College. We are waiting on Eastern to finalize their signature. But if you'll remember, the Lee County Distance Education Consortium was created out of the 5 school districts in Lee County to provide instructional television to our high schools. The junior college had teachers that could provide college level content. We could deliver that via, quite honestly, cable television in the early days to our high schools, where students could have access to college level rigorous materials. A couple iterations of that, it did become digital, and we were able to move into that age. As we've continued to progress with technology, the consortium consisting as it did to support infrastructure and equipment was no longer needed. That's what we were participating in, was funding equipment replacement, whether it be on the junior college's end or on the individual school site's end. And so 5 superintendents, we agreed that, hey, let's agree to continue to have conversation. That'll be your next item that you see. But this is to dissolve the LCDEC so that we can return those monies that we had previously contributed for equipment replacement. within that instructional television model. The explanation I have on the various differences in there is we expended some of those dollars, whereas some other school districts haven't. And we did lobby to make it all even, but one other school district in Lee County didn't like that model.
Because they get more. Okay. Well, it's surprising. A lot of times you get these committees or organizations created and they never go away. So I'm thinking, appreciate us taking the action to dissolve this one so we can grow something new. I would entertain a motion.
Well, move.
We have a motion and a second to dissolve the Lee County Distance Education Consortium. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, next item is along the same lines, but it's really a memorandum of understanding between those same school districts, New Mexico Junior College and REC 7, that we realize the benefit that consistent and cooperative conversation brought to each of us, that we want to remain engaged in that. And so with your consideration and approval, Hobbs Schools would continue to participate in that monthly, and really identifying the benefits to our students, working with New Mexico Junior College to identify opportunities, provide greater chances for our kiddos. This one is non-financially based.
That's what I was. No funding for that.
This is literally an agreement that we will agree to sit down and have frank and honest conversations for the good of our communities.
Make a
That's
motion-
always good.
Yeah, make a motion that we do consideration of the Lee County Education Authority.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, this last item is the consideration for adopting our written procedures for post-bond issuance, federal tax compliance.
Entertain a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carried. That's it. Resolutions.
So, Mr. President, I'm going to read this if you'd allow me. New Mexico, as we get back into education and continue to realize what it is, it's important for us to realize there should be expectations, and we should be holding ourselves as educators to some expectations. And so this resolution is in support of New Mexico's Year of Literacy. Whereas the Public Education Department has extended an invitation to schools and districts across New Mexico to join in making the 2021-2022 school year the Year of Literacy. And whereas reading and writing are essential foundational skills in every child's educational journey and pathway to success. And whereas the Public Education Department, districts, and staff have invested significant time and resources toward the teaching of reading in classrooms. And whereas every child should have access to the most appropriate grade level content and reading materials. And whereas increasing literacy proficiency is of the utmost priority of the Hobbs Municipal Schools. And whereas the Hobbs Municipal Schools believes it is imperative to instill in our children a lifelong love of learning and reading. Now, therefore, the Board by unanimous approval by its members hereto joins with the Public Education Department and other districts to declare this the Year of Literacy in the Hobbs Municipal Schools.
Thank you.
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, the next item I have for consideration is redistricting and redistricting of our board seats. Every 10 years, we have a census. After that census data is released, we're required to consider that data and look at our districts. I've been in contact with Research and Polling Incorporated, Brian Sanderhoff, and he's agreed to provide those services to us. Statutorily, we are not behind. In fact, we're ahead of the game. New Mexico public schools are not required to engage in this until the next calendar year after the data is released. So census was in 2020, data was released in 2021. 22 is our year to do this. So this would allow me to really negotiate with him that proposal and that contract so that we could begin in the spring semester.
No, he's making a killing every time there's a census, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
If he can hang on for every 10 years, he's got him a windfall.
Right. Okay. Well, everybody seems to be redistricting. We might as well too.
Yeah,
I would entertain a motion.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President and all members of the board, one thing I would like is, so as we go into that redistricting, if there's a member of the community or two that you would like to recommend to that committee, get that to me. I'll reach out to them and we will get them on the hook, so to speak, so that we can get them that timeline, so that we can create that redistricting committee that we're required to have.
Thinking one or two.
I would say no more than 2 per person.
Okay.
You know, we get very big and it's like herding
Yeah.
cats,
Yeah,
but we
exactly.
want to be representative of our entire community. Mr. President, members of the board, the third and final reading of policy JFB is in your packet. And we have had this proposal or this policy in front of us for 2 prior months. And just as a general reminder, this takes from state statute the requirement that we have military or we allow military families to enroll prior to their relocation to our community. So we have added that. That is that language in red that you see.
So there's, again, no changes to this one. either.
No, sir, none.
All right. I would entertain a motion for the final reading of policy JFB.
So move.
Have a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
Announcements?
Yes, sir.
One announcement you will not see there is our Hobbs Eagle Marching Band will be celebrating with the communities of Eunice and Jal on Saturday. Both Eunice and Jal football teams play in the state championship against each other in Jal on Saturday. And almost simultaneously, Mr. Crow received a request from members of Eunice that I received a request from members of Jal to see if our band would come and play at their game and play for both teams. Rusty, being as Rusty is, jumped all over it, said, I'd love to. And I said, your kids may be worn out. You may be playing by yourself. Because they were on their way back from Cleveland when we were having this conversation.
Wow.
And so been super and you know, as a school district to be supportive of the other school districts in our community is huge. And you know, I'm not aware of the status of Eunice and Jal's band program, but for them to call on us to honor them in that way, I'm thrilled that our students get an opportunity to participate in that and really get to celebrate with both communities in that way. So I don't know if they're going to wear red and blue shirts as teams, but
Half on one side, half on the
yeah,
other.
but Mr. O'Brien did say that they're working on either their fight songs or their school songs for both schools this week.
Great.
So that'll be a quick turnaround. Other announcements there, Thanksgiving break will begin this Friday. I know it says Monday, the 22nd, but I think everyone's looking forward to Friday. And I shared with you previously the kind of condition of staff. And I would encourage all staff to take that time and rest and recharge and take care of family. Because we truly do have a lot to be thankful for. And I'm thankful as well for many of the same things. The School Board Association Annual Convention is that week we come back from Thanksgiving. And I believe those of you that are attending,
Wow.
Terry has taken care of that for you. If not, and out of zones for second semester will begin the 13th and we'll go through the 31st. Regular board meeting will be on December the 14th because that subsequent Tuesday is Christmas holiday. So we will not meet on the 21st. It will be the 14th. And Christmas and winter break will begin on Monday the 20th and go through January 1st. One item to note, January the 3rd is a staff workday for all staff, no students. January 4th is students back in class. We'll come back.
Okay. Anything else? It is 9 o'clock somewhere, 8 o'clock here.
I'm gonna,
Yeah, most good turn. Thank you. Thank all of y'all.
You have a second?
Yeah.
Well, you want to vote?